Welcome to Sleepy Science. Tonight, you will hear the most calming and surprising facts about the planets in our solar system. Facts that feel simple, but open your mind in quiet ways. Facts that make these distant worlds feel close, real, almost alive. Some planets are hotter than fire. Some are colder than anything you can imagine. Some have skies that rain metal. Some have oceans made of clouds, and all of them hold secrets we almost never talk about. Try to imagine a time before anything had a name, before planet even meant something, before Earth was blue, before Mars was red, before the sun was bright. There was only a silent cloud in deep space, cold, still, almost frozen in time. It looked empty, but it wasn't. It held tiny pieces of dust, small grains, faint specks, nothing impressive, nothing that looked alive. But these tiny grains carried everything. Every metal, every rock, every drop of water that would one day make oceans, every atom that would shape every planet we know. Back then, space was so quiet it could almost make your chest feel calm just thinking about it. No sound, no heat, no light, just a wide, dark cloud. A cloud waiting for something to happen, and then something changed. Very slowly, very gently, something began to pull everything inward. Gravity, the soft hand of the universe. It pulled the dust together little by little. Not fast, not loud, just steady, patient. As if the universe knew it had all the time it needed. As the dust gathered, it grew thicker, heavier, warmer, still quiet but no longer empty. This simple cloud was becoming the start of something huge, something bright, something powerful. At the center of this gathering cloud, heat began to rise. Atoms pressed together, pressure built up. A soft glow began to form, not a star yet, not even close, but the first tiny spark was there. The middle grew hotter, brighter, more alive. And one day, after millions of years of quiet building, the glow became a real light. This was the moment the sun opened its eyes. It didn't explode into existence. It didn't burst out with fire in one loud flash. It grew into itself, slowly warming, slowly lighting the dark, breathing out soft waves of energy that pushed the leftover dust outward. This warm light began to fill the newborn space around it. The darkness broke apart. Shadows faded. The universe gained its first steady glow in this quiet little corner. And around this new sun, the leftover dust began to move in gentle circles. Not because anyone pushed it. Not because of fast winds or strong waves. Just because the sun's gravity held it in place, inviting it to move. Inviting it to organize, inviting it to become something new. And here's where the story becomes even more quiet, even more calm, because the planets did not form fast. They did not appear like round worlds overnight. They started as tiny clumps, small pieces, pebbles, bits of rock sticking together when they touched. At first, these pieces were so small you could hold them in your hand if you were there. But space gave them time, and time gave them power. Each piece pulled in more pieces. A pebble became a stone became a boulder became something even bigger. Millions of years passed. The sun kept shining, the pieces kept joining. And the bigger they became, the stronger their gravity grew. This made them pull even more pieces in. Slow, quiet, unbroken. These early worlds were not smooth, they were rough, sharp, covered in broken rock. They spun like slow beads on a string, growing, changing shape, turning into something real. One of these growing worlds was close to the sun, hot, dry, tight with metal and stone. This one would become Mercury. Another formed a little farther out. Clouds of carbon dioxide built around it. Thick, heavy, trapping heat. That one would become Venus. Another cooled enough to hold oceans. Liquid water, air, life. You know that one already. our Earth. One more formed a little farther away. Red dust spread across its skin. Thin air. Cold nights. This world would become Mars, but all of this was still far in the future. Right now, in this quiet beginning, the planets were nothing more than growing balls of rock and dust. Still forming, still shaping, still finding their place. In the outer region, the story looked different. Out there, it was colder, much colder. So cold that gases began to freeze and grow into huge bodies. Massive, heavy, thick with ice and cloud. These giant worlds would one day become Jupiter and Saturn. Huge bodies that would rule the outer zone of the solar system. They formed fast because they had so much material to grab, so much gas, so much ice. And farther out where the sun's warmth was only a soft touch, two more worlds grew. Uranus, Neptune, cold, slow, wrapped in pale blue gas. But right now in this early chapter, none of these worlds had names. No labels, no stories. Just shapes in the dark, quiet bodies growing under the soft glow of a young sun. Every planet was forming its own way, its own style, its own rhythm, each one different, each one with a strange future waiting. Some would become hot enough to melt metal. Some would become cold enough to freeze the air. Some would grow rings. Some would grow storms. Some would stay calm. Some would never stop moving. All of it started here, in this gentle silence, in this early cloud of dust, in this small corner of space where pressure, time, and light work together. And the best part is this: everything you will hear about these planets, every strange fact, every beautiful detail, every secret, all of it began in this quiet beginning. This soft moment when the sun was young and the worlds were still learning how to become worlds. Take a slow breath here. Let this picture settle in your mind, because everything from this point forward becomes even more interesting, more strange, more beautiful, more calming to listen to. This is only the start. The real wonders come next. Now that the sun has opened its eyes, we move closer to the first world it warms. A small world, a quiet world, a world that looks simple but holds some of the most extreme facts in the entire solar system. This is Mercury. At first glance, Mercury looks calm, just a gray ball covered in craters, dry, still, not much to see. But the moment you look deeper, you notice something strange, something that makes this tiny planet feel more intense than any other. Its world is a mix of fire and ice, heat that can melt metal, darkness colder than the poles of Pluto. And all of this happens on the same planet. Let's go close. Not fast, not loud, just close enough to see its surface. Mercury is small, so small that if Earth were a basketball, Mercury would be a small lemon. Yet this tiny world sits closest to the sun, closer than we can easily imagine. So close that sunlight hits it with strength you can almost feel. Not a warm glow, not a gentle touch. A sharp, bright, burning blast of heat. On the side facing the sun, the ground gets so hot that lead could melt into a puddle. Almost 430 degrees Celsius. Hot enough to cook metal like food on a pan. Hot enough to burn anything that tried to stand there. But here is the twist. Here is the natural hook. On the side facing away from the sun, the temperature drops so low it could freeze steel. Minus 180 degrees Celsius. A cold so deep your breath would feel solid. How can one small world be both the hottest and one of the coldest places in the solar system? The answer makes Mercury even more interesting. Mercury has almost no air. There is no thick blanket of gas to hold heat, no atmosphere to carry warmth from one side to the other. The sun heats one side until it glows. The other side stays dark and frozen. There is no middle ground, no slow transition. Just fire on one side, ice on the other. It feels unreal, like the planet is split into two worlds that never meet, and Mercury rotates very slowly, so slowly that one full day on Mercury lasts longer than its entire year. Think about that. A year is how long it takes Mercury to go around the Sun. A day is how long it takes Mercury to turn once on its axis. But Mercury spins so slowly that its day stretches out for about 59 Earth days, almost 2 months of sunlight, and then almost 2 months of darkness. Imagine standing on the bright side. You would be in sunlight for weeks. The shadows would barely move. The sun would hang in the sky like a white-hot spotlight. Every rock would bake. Every crater floor would glow. Your shadow would stretch behind you and almost never change. Then, when the planet finally turned, you would watch the sun sink down so slowly that it might take days to disappear. And when it finally set, the world would fall silent. Cold would settle in. Deep cold. A cold that nothing alive on Earth has ever felt. Mercury's long days and long nights give it a rhythm that feels nothing like Earth. A slow, heavy rhythm. Like the planet moves with long, tired breaths. And even though it is so close to the sun, the sky is black, always black, day and night. Because there is no air to scatter sunlight into color. No blue sky, no soft glow. Just empty black above a burning surface. You would stand in bright light under a dark sky. Just imagine that for a moment. Bright ground, black sky, fire under your feet, space above your head. Mercury is also covered in scars. Millions of craters, signs of old impacts that never faded, because without wind or water, nothing smooths the surface. Everything that hits Mercury stays there forever. Every crater is a memory, a mark from a time when the solar system was young and wild. The biggest crater is so large you could fit entire countries inside it. It is called the Caloris Basin. It was created by an impact so strong that shockwaves traveled all the way to the other side of the planet. They made hills, ridges, twisted shapes in the ground, like a bruise that wrapped around the world. If you walked there, everything around you would feel old, ancient. Nothing changes, nothing moves, no wind, no rain, just silence that feels endless. But here comes another hook, something that surprises almost everyone. Mercury, the planet closest to the sun, has ice. Yes, ice, real frozen water. In craters near the poles, sunlight never reaches the floor. These places stay in permanent shadow, always dark, always cold. Cold enough to trap ice for millions of years, maybe billions. So on one planet you have areas hot enough to melt metal and areas cold enough to hold water ice forever. This contrast makes Mercury feel like two planets placed into one tiny world. Mercury also has a magnetic field, not as strong as Earth's but still there. This is strange for such a small planet. It suggests that deep inside Mercury still has a molten core, hot metal moving, creating a faint magnetic bubble around the world, a sign that even this quiet planet is not fully asleep. Its core is huge, much bigger than scientists expected. Most of Mercury is core, like an iron heart wrapped in a thin shell of rock, and that thin outer layer leads to one more quiet surprise. Mercury has cliffs. Long, tall cliffs that stretch for hundreds of kilometers. These cliffs formed when the planet shrank a little as it cooled. Yes, Mercury actually got smaller over time. The surface cracked and folded, creating steep drops across the land. If you stood at the top, the view would look endless. Sharp edges, deep shadows, cold emptiness. Everything about Mercury feels simple at first, but becomes strange when you look closer. Tiny planet, huge core, hot enough to melt metal, cold enough to freeze water, days longer than years. Bright light under black sky, cliffs created by a shrinking world. Mercury is quiet, Mercury is harsh, but Mercury is honest. It shows you what a world looks like when sunlight hits it without air to soften the blow. It shows you what happens when a planet holds heat on one side and lets the other fall into endless night. It shows you the most extreme balance between fire and shadow. And that balance sets the stage for every planet that comes next. Because as we move outward, every world tells its own strange story. Every world holds secrets that feel almost unreal. Mercury is the beginning of that journey. A small planet with a big truth. Even the closest world to the sun holds more mystery than we expect. When you are ready, we can visit the next one. A world that looks calm from far away but hides storms so strong they never stop moving. From far away, Venus looks calm, soft, bright, almost peaceful. It shines like a warm light in the night sky. Smooth, golden, gentle. If you didn't know anything about it, you might think Venus is a safe world, a warm sister to Earth, a calm neighbor. But the truth is different, very different. The truth is hidden behind thick clouds that never open. Clouds so heavy and bright that they keep the planet's secrets locked inside. What looks peaceful from far away becomes something else up close. Something silent, something powerful, something almost scary. Venus is a quiet storm. Let's step closer. Slowly, calmly, just enough to see through those clouds. The first thing you notice is the light. It doesn't look like the light we know. The sun shines, but it never reaches the ground. The clouds block everything. They wrap the whole planet in a yellow-white layer, thick as stone, deep as an ocean of gas. If you were floating above those clouds, you would see them glow softly. Smooth, cream-colored, almost beautiful. But under that beauty, there is heat. Heat so strong it becomes hard to imagine. Venus is hotter than Mercury, even though Mercury is closer to the sun. This is one of the strangest facts in the solar system, a natural hook, a surprise that makes Venus unforgettable. How can the second planet from the sun be hotter than the first? The answer is pressure. Venus has a thick atmosphere made mostly of carbon dioxide, very heavy gas, gas that traps heat and pushes it downward. It acts like a giant blanket that never lets warmth escape. So the heat stacks up, builds up, gets trapped, day after day, year after year. The result is a world where the temperature reaches about 465 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt lead, hot enough to cook spacecraft, hot enough that even at night the planet stays burning. There is no cool side, no shadows cold enough to rest in, no escape from the heat. Venus is a world that cooks itself from the inside, and the pressure is something else. If you stood on the surface, it would feel like a building was sitting on your shoulders. 90 times the pressure of Earth's air, like being under deep ocean water. Your body would not last even a moment. The atmosphere is so thick that sunlight gets in, but it cannot get out, like a trap, like a sealed room with no doors. Now let's go through the clouds themselves. Just imagine moving through bright, thick fog. It looks soft, it is not soft. The clouds are made of sulfuric acid, not water, acid, real acid. It hangs in the air as tiny drops, drifting around like sharp mist. It would burn anything that touched it. These clouds never stop moving. High above the surface, the winds blow fast, very fast, faster than the planet rotates. The winds circle around Venus in just a few days. They race at over 300 kilometers per hour, strong enough to wrap the entire planet in a constant flow of storming clouds. But here is the strange part. Down near the surface, everything is almost still. The air is heavy, slow, quiet. The storms above cannot shake the ground below. So Venus holds two moods at once. A violent atmosphere above, a silent pressure chamber below, and there are volcanoes, thousands of them. Some are bigger than anything on Earth. Venus may have more volcanoes than any other planet in the solar system. Some are old, some are young, some may still be active. We aren't sure. But the planet's surface is covered in signs of lava flows, wide plains, rough shapes, long cracks, like a world shaped and reshaped by fire. This adds another hook, another quiet surprise. Venus might still be alive inside. Radar images show fresh-looking lava fields, craters with sharp edges, ground that looks like it was heated not too long ago. If Venus is still erupting, even slowly, then the planet is not dead. It is breathing heat under those soft-looking clouds. And because the atmosphere is so thick, sound would behave differently. Waves would move slowly. Everything would seem muted, heavy. If you could stand on Venus, you would hear your own breathing as a deep, slow echo, but you would not hear wind, because down here it barely moves, but the sky above you would glow a dull orange. The clouds would press down like a lid. No stars, no moon, no blue sky, just a dim, endless haze. Now let's talk about the rotation. Venus spins the opposite way from Earth. The sun rises in the west and sets in the east, and it spins very slowly. One day on Venus lasts 243 Earth days, almost two-thirds of a year, so slow that the surface almost never changes light direction. You could stand in the same spot and watch shadows barely move for weeks. This slow rotation affects the whole planet. The atmosphere moves fast. The surface barely moves at all. It creates a strange tension, like the planet is calm on the outside but fighting itself inside. The more you learn about Venus, the more it surprises you. Everything looks soft. Everything feels harsh. Everything seems peaceful. Everything hides danger. It is a planet of opposites, bright on the outside, dark on the inside, slow on the ground, fast in the sky, silent below, storming above, hotter than Mercury, wrapped in clouds that look gentle but hold acid. If you stand far away and look at Venus, you see a perfect, glowing world. A world that looks almost friendly, like a warm lamp in the night. But the closer you go, the more you feel the truth. Venus is not calm. It is not gentle. It is not safe. It is a quiet storm. A world that hides its power behind beauty. A world covered in secrets we still try to understand. This is why scientists love it. This is why listeners stay curious. This is why Venus keeps pulling attention even though no human will ever walk there. Because it teaches us something simple and true. Not everything bright is peaceful. Not everything beautiful is soft. Some things hide storms behind calm faces. Some worlds glow on the outside and burn on the inside. Take a slow breath here. Let the picture settle, because the next world is something special. The only planet we call home. The only one with oceans. The only one with life. Imagine, for a moment, the only world we call home. Even if you have seen pictures of Earth thousands of times, there is still something special about it. Something soft. Something calm. Something that feels safe in a way no other place in our solar system can offer. And as you listen, you might find yourself feeling a little lighter, a little more peaceful, almost as if your mind is taking a slow walk through the story of our planet. If you look at Earth from far away, the first thing you notice is the color blue. Oceans cover most of the surface, and they shine like quiet mirrors when sunlight touches them. These oceans are not just water. They help keep everything on Earth balanced. They carry heat, they make clouds, they even shape the air we breathe. And right now, you might start to wonder, how did we get so lucky to have a world like this? That small question alone is enough to pull your attention deeper into the gentle mystery of our planet. As we move a little closer, you see white swirls covering the surface. These clouds are soft to look at, but they play a powerful role. They hold moisture that becomes rain. They shield us from the sun. They move around the Earth in slow, sweeping patterns, almost like the planet is breathing in and out. And if you listen closely, you might notice your own breath beginning to match that calm rhythm. Just beneath those clouds is the air itself. Our atmosphere may look thin from space, but it is strong enough to protect us. It blocks harmful rays, it keeps the planet warm, and it gives every living thing the chance to grow. If Earth did not have this soft blanket of air, everything would be frozen or burning. Instead, we have gentle seasons, warm sunlight, and cool winds that brush across skin as if the planet is greeting us. This is the kind of balance that feels almost unreal when you compare it to the wild storms on Venus or the burning daylight on Mercury. As you think about this, another quiet question appears on its own. What makes Earth so different? The answer leads us deeper into its story. Earth moves in a special way. It spins steadily, giving us day and night at a pace gentle enough for life to adapt. It moves around the sun at just the right distance, not too close, not too far. This perfect space is called the habitable zone, though you don't need to remember that term. Just imagine a warm, comfortable spot near a campfire, not too hot to be dangerous, not too cold to step away. That is where Earth sits, held in a peaceful place that allows lakes, forests, animals, and people to exist. Now picture the oceans again, stretching endlessly. They hide mountains taller than anything on land. They hold tiny creatures that glow softly in the dark. They produce much of the oxygen we breathe. When you stand near a shore and hear waves, you are listening to one of Earth's oldest songs. And that sound is one reason people feel calm near water. It reminds our minds of something steady and safe. Moving from the oceans to the land, we find layers of life stacked like soft blankets. Forests breathe for the planet, taking in carbon dioxide and giving out oxygen. Trees stretch up toward the sky, each one holding years of history inside its rings. Every leaf, every branch, every root works quietly to keep the world balanced. And as you picture that deep green color, you might feel your thoughts slowing down, becoming gentle, like leaves moving in a calm breeze. But Earth is not only soft and peaceful, it is also full of energy. The ground beneath us can shake, volcanoes can rise, mountains can push their way upward over millions of years. Yet even these powerful events play a part in creating balance. They form new land, release gases needed for the air, and shape the surface into the landscapes we know today. It is strange how even chaos here leads to harmony in the long run. And maybe that idea brings a small moment of comfort to you, how even loud moments in life can slowly settle into something meaningful. Think about the animals living across Earth, birds that fly through mountain air, fish that move with waves, creatures in deep forests that most people will never see. All of them depend on the same air, the same water, the same warmth from the sun. It is a giant, connected story, and somehow we are part of it. Even sitting still, listening to this, you are linked to everything around you. And then there is the most delicate part of all, the thin balance that lets life exist here. Too much heat or too little and everything would break apart. Too much pressure and the air would be too heavy to breathe. Too little and water would disappear into space. But Earth holds these forces steady, like a gentle hand keeping a small flame from blowing out. That quiet stability is what allows your heart to beat, your thoughts to form, and your body to rest at night. If you look deeper into Earth's history, the planet hasn't always been calm. It once had fire-filled skies and oceans of lava. It survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and long, dark winters. Yet here it is, still offering a safe place for life to grow. There is something comforting in knowing that Earth has been through so much and still continues on. It reminds you that change is natural, and even big challenges can settle into peace with time. And now, imagine standing somewhere quiet on Earth, maybe on a hill near a river, or even in your room with the lights low. The world feels large but not scary. You feel held by it, supported by the invisible systems working every second to keep this place alive. The air around you, the ground beneath you, the steady pull of gravity, all of it is part of the gentle design that makes Earth a soft place in a hard universe. As your mind follows these images, you may notice the calm spreading through your body. Your shoulders loosen. Your breathing becomes slower. Your thoughts start to float more easily, like clouds moving across a quiet blue sky. And in this calm moment, one last thought appears naturally. Earth is rare. In all the places we know, it is the one world shaped for peace, for warmth, for life, and for rest. You are living on the only soft place we have ever found. And right now, as you relax, you are part of that soft, gentle world. There is something quiet and comforting about looking up at the night sky and seeing the moon. It hangs there almost like a gentle companion, always watching, always following us through the darkness. Even though it is far away, the moon feels close in a way no other object in the sky does. And as you picture it now, you might feel your thoughts becoming softer, almost as if your mind is turning toward something peaceful and steady. The moon has been with Earth since the beginning. Long before people walked on the land, or even before there were oceans the way we know them today, the moon was already circling above. It is easy to forget how much it does for us because it works so quietly. There is no sound, no warning, no bright sign in the sky, but the effects are everywhere. If you listen closely, you might even feel a little curious about how a silent rock in space can shape our whole world. That simple curiosity becomes a hook, pulling your attention deeper into its story. One of the most calming things about the moon is the way it moves. It orbits Earth in a steady pattern, always at the same slow pace. No rush, no sudden changes. This movement helps keep Earth stable. Our planet leans slightly on its axis, and without the moon, that lean would wobble wildly over time. Seasons would change too fast. Climates would swing from freezing to burning. Life would struggle to survive. Instead, the moon holds Earth steady, like a quiet hand resting on a shoulder, keeping everything balanced. And maybe, as you imagine that, you feel a little more balanced yourself. Another soft and steady gift from the moon is the tide. Every day, water rises and falls along beaches around the world, pulled gently by the moon's gravity. Waves stretch farther up the sand, then slowly slide back. This repeating rhythm has been happening for billions of years. It shapes coastlines, feeds sea life, and keeps oceans healthy. Sometimes people listen to waves to fall asleep, and now you know why. They follow the calm pull of the moon. If you picture a shoreline in your mind right now, you may even feel your heartbeat matching that slow rise and fall. The moon's surface is empty and still, but that silence makes it strangely beautiful. There is no air, no wind, no sound. Footprints left by astronauts are still there, untouched for more than 50 years. Shadows are sharp. Light is strong. Everything looks frozen in time. When you imagine standing there, you might feel a peaceful quietness spreading around you, like the moon is inviting you to rest for a moment. The emptiness does not feel lonely. It feels clean, open, and honest. From Earth, the moon looks smooth and soft, but up close it is covered in craters. Each crater is a reminder of an old impact, things that hit the moon long ago. The strange part is that these impacts helped shape Earth's past too. When the moon formed, pieces of it may have hit Earth, leaving behind materials that helped our air and oceans develop. So in a way, the moon didn't just arrive. It helped build the place we live in now. There is something comforting in knowing we grew together with something that still watches over us. As we follow its path across the sky, you may begin to notice how the moon changes shape. Sometimes it is full, bright, and round. Sometimes it is only a thin line like a soft smile. These phases happen because the moon reflects sunlight while it moves. The light shifts, bends, and fades gently, giving us a new view every few days. People all over the world have watched these phases for thousands of years, using them to mark time, plant crops, guide travel, and celebrate traditions. Even today, many people feel a sense of peace when they see a full moon rising, glowing like a calm lantern in the sky. There is another quiet truth about the moon. It moves farther away from us every year. Not fast, not frightening. Just a tiny bit at a time the distance increases. You would never notice it by looking at the sky. But knowing this gives the moon a strange feeling of time passing. It reminds us that even the most constant things in our lives are slowly changing. Maybe that idea helps you accept changes in your own life too. They might be gentle, they might be slow, but they carry you forward just like the moon carries Earth through its long story. The moon also affects the Earth in more ways than most people realize. Without it, nights would be much darker. Animals that hunt or travel at night would struggle. Ancient people used moonlight to walk safely, to tell stories, and to understand the world. Even now, when you stand outside under a full moon, the light feels softer than sunlight, almost like it is meant to calm rather than wake you. That soft glow is one more small gift the moon offers without asking anything in return. When you think about the distance between Earth and the moon, it seems huge. Almost 384,000 kilometers. Yet we can still see its surface with our eyes. We can still feel its pull in the tides. We can still measure its effect on the length of our days. This connection, stretching across empty space, makes the moon feel like a quiet partner, always present, always working in the background. And just knowing that something so far away can still touch your life might spark a gentle thought. Maybe you are connected to more things in the universe than you realize. Sometimes, people imagine what Earth would look like without the moon. It would spin more quickly. Days would be shorter. Winds would be stronger. Animals and plants would have evolved differently. Even our own bodies might not be the same without the steady rhythm of tides and light and darkness shaped by the moon's motion. It is strange to think that something so quiet can be so important. And that simple thought becomes another hook, pulling you into an even deeper sense of wonder. As you imagine all these things, you might feel a sense of peace spreading inside you. The moon has been a symbol of calm for as long as humans have looked at the sky. It does not rush. It does not shine too brightly. It does not demand attention. It just moves steadily, offering gentle light to anyone who looks up. And in a way, thinking about the moon helps you slow down too. You might picture yourself standing outside on a cool night. The world is quiet. The air is still. Above you, the moon glows softly, just bright enough to outline the shapes of trees or buildings. You feel safe. You feel steady. You feel like something ancient and peaceful is watching over you, guiding your thoughts into a softer place. The moon has been with Earth from the beginning, and it will continue long after we are gone. It is a silent partner, a gentle guide, a steady presence in a universe full of noise and chaos. And right now, As you breathe slowly and let your body relax, you are sharing a moment with that same calm light that has touched every generation before you. Mars is a world that feels both close and far at the same time. When you look at it in the night sky, it glows like a small red spark. It looks gentle from here, almost like a warm light in the dark. But up close, Mars is a huge, silent desert, a cold, empty place made of rock and sand. Nothing moves. Nothing makes a sound. Everything feels paused, as if the planet is holding its breath and waiting for someone to return. The red color of Mars comes from iron in the soil. It has been rusting for millions of years, giving the whole world a deep, soft red tone. If you imagine standing there, the ground under your feet would feel dry and dusty. The sky would look pale and faded, almost like the sky just before sunrise on Earth. And the air would be so thin you could not breathe it. But even with all that emptiness, there is something peaceful about it. Something that makes your mind slow down and look closer. Mars has mountains taller than anything on Earth. One of them stretches so high it reaches above the clouds that would form on most planets. Its sides are smooth. Its base is wide. And it is so quiet there that if you stood on top, the silence might feel endless. You would hear nothing but your own breath inside your suit. This kind of silence can be unsettling on Earth, but on Mars it feels natural. The whole planet has been silent for billions of years. It is a world made for quiet thinking. There are valleys on Mars that stretch across enormous distances. Deep, long cuts in the ground that look like they were carved by giant hands. Scientists think these valleys once carried water. Not small streams, but huge rivers that may have flowed for millions of years. When you imagine that, something inside you may feel a spark of wonder. Water means life. And life on another planet is one of the biggest questions humans have ever asked. This small thought becomes a gentle hook, pulling you into the mystery of what could have lived there long ago. The idea that Mars once had water is not just a guess. There are dry riverbeds, shorelines, minerals that only form in lakes, even small rocks rounded smooth by old currents. All these things whisper the same story. Mars was not always a desert. Long ago, it may have had oceans, rain, clouds, and a thicker atmosphere. It may not have looked like Earth, but it might have felt a little like it. As if the planet once tried to be warm, wet, and alive. Now everything is frozen. The air is thin. The winds are gentle but cold enough to turn your breath into ice crystals. Snow on Mars is not like snow on Earth. It is made of carbon dioxide. It falls softly in the night, leaving thin layers that sparkle under the weak sunlight. If you picture that scene, you might feel a calm chill. A kind of quiet beauty that exists only on a world that has been untouched for so long. Mars has two small moons, Phobos and Deimos. They look nothing like our moon. They are shaped like rough stones and move quickly in the sky. If you were standing on Mars, one of them would cross overhead in just a few hours. The motion is so fast that it would feel like a quiet reminder that time works differently there. Even simple things, like the passing of a moon, carry a strange beauty on this red world. The days on Mars are almost the same length as days on Earth, only a little longer. If you stood on the surface and watched the sun set, you would see something unusual. The sky around the sun would turn blue, not red. The dust in the air bends light in a way that makes sunsets look reversed compared to Earth. It's a small detail, but it feels magical. A tiny clue that Mars is similar to us in some ways, and completely different in others. One of the calmest and most fascinating things about Mars is how patient it is. Nothing changes quickly there. Rocks stay in the same place for ages. Dust settles slowly. Ice melts only when the sun gets close enough in Mars's long orbit. The planet moves around the sun in a wide loop that takes almost twice as long as Earth's, so seasons last longer, winters stretch out, summers linger. The whole planet seems to live in slow motion, and imagining that slow rhythm may help your own mind slow down too. Humans have always dreamed about Mars. More than any other world, it feels reachable. It feels like a place we could touch someday. Maybe because it reminds us a little of home, dry deserts, rocky hills, winds that move sand into soft shapes. Even though the air is thin and cold, the landscape feels familiar, almost like a quiet version of a place you might walk in your imagination. Many people wonder if humans will live on Mars in the future. The thought alone creates a gentle curiosity. What would a small home look like there? How would it sound when a person takes a step on that dusty ground? How would it feel to watch the pale sun rise after a long Martian night? These questions do not need answers to pull you in. Just thinking about them creates a sense of quiet wonder. Robots have been exploring Mars for years. They move slowly across the surface, sending pictures back to Earth. Their wheels leave thin tracks in the dust, tracks that might stay untouched for hundreds of years. These little machines look lonely, but there is also something peaceful about their presence. They are like tiny guests exploring an old, forgotten world. When you imagine yourself sitting beside one of these rovers, the scene feels soft. The sky is quiet. The horizon glows a gentle orange. The land stretches out endlessly. You feel small but not afraid. Mars has a way of making everything feel simple, calm, slowed down. There is a reason people call Mars a waiting world. It feels like it has been holding onto secrets for ages, hoping someone will come close enough to understand them. And maybe that is why humans are drawn to it. The idea that a planet could keep memories, that its rocks and valleys could still tell stories, and that someone someday might be the first to listen. Mars may look empty, but it holds something deep, a sense of patience, a sense of time, a sense of quiet hope. It is a desert, yes, but it is a peaceful one, a place where silence is not frightening. Silence is the natural sound of a planet that has been alone for billions of years. As you picture this silent red world, let your body relax a little. Let your breath soften. Let your thoughts settle like dust falling gently on the ground. Mars waits calmly in the dark, turning slowly around the sun, shining softly in our sky, asking nothing, but offering endless wonder to anyone who looks up. Between Mars and Jupiter lies a quiet, often forgotten region of space, a place that many imagine as crowded with rocks and danger, but in reality it is mostly empty. This is the asteroid belt, a vast stretch of space filled with thousands of small worlds. Some are big enough to be round, like tiny planets, while most are irregular rocks, shapes carved by countless collisions over billions of years. And yet, despite all that history, the region feels calm. Vast distances separate each object, more than you might expect, so a spacecraft could sail through without touching anything at all. If you imagine floating there, you would see pieces of rock scattered across the darkness. They glimmer faintly in the sunlight, reflecting hints of their mineral colors. Some are red, like rusted iron. Others are gray or black. A few shine with the silver glint of metals buried deep inside. They are relics of the early solar system, leftovers that never formed into a planet. These rocks hold stories older than any living thing on Earth. In their silence, they carry memories of the sun's first light and the slow formation of the worlds around them. Ceres is the largest object in the asteroid belt, a tiny world all on its own. It is round, soft in shape, like a quiet bubble suspended in space. Beneath its surface, scientists believe there may be water ice, maybe even small pockets of liquid water. Ceres is so still and distant that it seems like it is waiting, a world holding secrets quietly, without rush, without noise. Vesta, smaller but brighter, has mountains and craters that tell tales of violent impacts long ago. Its surface is jagged and dramatic, yet from afar it appears calm. These two stand out among the smaller asteroids, gentle giants in a sea of quiet stones. Though we often think of asteroids as dangerous, the belt is far more empty than movies suggest. The rocks are so spaced out that collisions are rare. Most of the time, it is pure silence. Imagine floating there, the sun far above, shining softly and not hearing anything but your own breath inside a helmet. The peace is almost unimaginable. Here, in the emptiness, time feels different. A million years might pass and nothing would change, and the asteroids would remain where they have been for billions of years. The asteroids themselves are fascinating. They come in many shapes and sizes. Some are as small as pebbles. Some are hundreds of kilometers across. Some spin slowly. Others spin so fast that the dust on their surface seems to slide toward the equator. Many are old and covered in craters, small marks left by collisions with other asteroids over the ages. Each one tells a story. Each one is a frozen piece of history, waiting to be studied, waiting to reveal what life in the early solar system was like. The belt also acts as a gentle border between the inner rocky planets and the giant worlds beyond. It separates Earth, Mars, Venus, and Mercury from Jupiter, Saturn, and the icy planets further out. And in doing so, it preserves the quietness of space. Jupiter's gravity keeps most asteroids in place, preventing them from wandering inward. It is as if the solar system itself has arranged a protective barrier, keeping the inner world safe and allowing the belt to exist in peace. Occasionally, an asteroid breaks free. A nudge from Jupiter or a collision with another asteroid can send a small rock toward the inner planets. These objects become meteors, shooting through Earth's sky and burning in the atmosphere. And yet, even this movement is slow when you consider the scale of space. A rock traveling across the belt takes thousands or millions of years to cross the distances between objects. So even in motion, the belt feels patient, deliberate, and calm. Flying through the asteroid belt would give you a sense of scale that is hard to imagine. If you tried to walk across it, it would take longer than a human lifetime to go from one significant rock to another. The spaces are mostly dark, filled with the soft glow of distant sunlight, creating a quiet contrast between light and shadow. Tiny particles of dust float in the spaces, reflecting sunlight in a way that makes the emptiness seem gentle, even magical. Each asteroid has its own story to tell. Some were part of a larger world that broke apart. Others were born in the same cloud of gas and dust that formed the sun and planets. Some contain metals that could one day help humanity explore space. Some contain water locked in minerals, a potential treasure for travelers far from Earth. And each one orbits the sun on its own calm path, silent witnesses to the vastness around them. The belt is not just rocks. It is a history book written in stone. By studying asteroids, scientists learn about how planets formed, why they have the materials they do, and how life on Earth may have begun. Tiny samples from these distant rocks can reveal traces of water, carbon, and other ingredients that made life possible here. The asteroid belt becomes more than just a region of space. It becomes a teacher, quietly sharing its wisdom with anyone willing to look. From Earth, the belt may look like an empty space with no color, but a closer look reveals details that are extraordinary. Each asteroid is unique. Some are round, some are jagged, some are pitted, some are smooth. Some have tiny moons of their own, companions that circle them gently. The variety is endless, yet it all exists in calm harmony. Nothing fights, nothing rushes. Everything stays in place, orbiting steadily around the sun. Exploration of the belt has already begun. Spacecraft like Dawn have visited Ceres and Vesta, sending back detailed pictures of their surfaces. These images show craters, valleys, and mountains. They reveal layers of rock that hint at long-forgotten processes. As you imagine looking at these images, it is easy to feel connected to the quietness of these distant worlds. You begin to understand the patience of space, the slow, steady turning of time, and the gentle beauty of a place that seems far removed from the chaos of human life. Even though the belt is ancient and unchanging, it is not lifeless. Small particles float between the rocks. Tiny meteorites constantly collide and create dust. Occasionally, a comet passes nearby, adding a fleeting shimmer of ice and gas to the quiet. These small changes remind us that even in calm places, the universe is always alive, even if it moves on a timescale too long for humans to notice. As you imagine floating silently among these rocks, you realize something important. Space is not always a place of danger or fear. It can be peaceful. It can be gentle. It can teach us patience and wonder. The asteroid belt is one of the quietest regions in our solar system. It is a place of history, a place of calm, a place that waits silently for humans to notice its secrets. And in noticing, we connect with something older than the Earth, older than life itself, older than the sun. The asteroid belt reminds us of the vastness of space. It reminds us that even in the middle of emptiness, there is beauty. Even in the smallest rocks, there is history. And even in silence, there is a story waiting to be heard. Every asteroid is a small world in its own right, each quietly circling the sun, patient and steady. The belt is a place where you can imagine standing among ancient stones, feeling time stretch out endlessly, and appreciating the quiet rhythm of the solar system. The beauty of the asteroid belt is in its stillness. Its emptiness is not frightening but soft. Its history is not lost but waiting. And its rocks, from the smallest pebble to the largest dwarf planet, remind us that the universe is full of calm, quiet wonders. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it breathing. Jupiter is the largest world in our solar system. It is a giant among giants, a planet so big that more than 1,000 Earths could fit inside it. Just thinking about its size makes you pause. Floating near it, even from a safe distance, you would feel the weight of its presence. It is not a quiet planet in the way the asteroid belt is quiet, but it has a rhythm of its own, a slow breathing that moves through its clouds and storms. The surface we see is not solid. Jupiter is made mostly of gases. Hydrogen and helium swirl in vast bands across the planet. Each band moves at a different speed. Some race around the planet quickly, while others crawl slowly. The colors are soft and subtle up close, with shades of white, brown, gold, and red blending in gentle waves. From afar, it looks like a calm marble, yet inside, the energy is immense. The great red spot is the heart of Jupiter's slow heartbeat. It is a storm larger than Earth, spinning for hundreds of years without stopping. It moves steadily, slowly turning in endless circles. Watching it, you would see a living, breathing force, massive and patient. The storm is a reminder that Jupiter is alive in its own way. It does not shout or rage like a hurricane on Earth. It moves with ancient patience, a storm that has witnessed centuries of history in the solar system. Beneath the clouds, pressure grows stronger and stronger. The gas becomes thick, almost like liquid, pressing down with a weight impossible to imagine from Earth. Deep in the center, the pressure is so intense that hydrogen turns into a strange metallic form. It is a world of extremes, of quiet power hidden beneath soft clouds. Yet from the outside it is serene, a planet that seems to float in place, dominating the sky with gentle authority. Jupiter is not alone. It has dozens of moons, each unique, each with its own quiet story. Io is the most active, a world of fire and movement. Volcanoes erupt constantly, spewing molten rock into space. Despite its chaos, there is beauty in Io's regular rhythm, a quiet dance of lava and light. Europa is covered in ice, smooth and shining. Beneath the frozen surface, oceans may hide, protected by layers of ice. Imagine the possibility of life beneath those frozen sheets, small movements unseen by human eyes, hidden in the cold. Ganymede, the largest moon in the solar system, is bigger than Mercury. Its surface is scarred with grooves and craters, a record of countless collisions, yet it feels calm from afar. Callisto is older and quieter, heavily cratered, a reminder of time stretching slowly across the solar system. Each moon orbits steadily, like a family around a gentle giant, moving together in harmony. The planet's magnetic field is enormous. It stretches far into space, capturing particles from the sun and creating glowing auroras at the poles. These lights are calm yet powerful, shining softly in ultraviolet colors invisible to human eyes without instruments. Jupiter's magnetosphere is like a protective bubble, wrapping its moons in quiet energy, shielding them from space storms while also shaping their atmospheres in small ways. Jupiter has faint rings, thin and subtle. They are almost invisible, delicate circles of dust and tiny rocks moving silently around the planet. Compared to Saturn's bold rings, they seem shy, quiet companions to the massive planet below. Yet even these small rings tell a story of collisions and slow motion over millions of years, a gentle trace of Jupiter's past interactions with its moons and captured objects. If you were to hover near Jupiter, you would notice its vastness in a way words cannot fully capture. The clouds stretch for thousands of kilometers. The storms swirl endlessly. The atmosphere moves in bands, a soft pattern of calm and energy combined. It is a place that feels alive, yet not in the way Earth feels alive. Life here as we know it could not exist. There is no solid surface to stand on, no oceans to swim in, no air to breathe. But the planet's presence itself feels alive. Its motion, its storms, its moons, all of it together creates a rhythm, slow, steady, and eternal. The gravity of Jupiter is immense. A step on a spacecraft near it would feel crushing if it were close enough to the surface. Its mass affects the entire solar system. Jupiter keeps asteroids away from Earth. Its presence has shaped the paths of countless objects for billions of years. It is a silent guardian, moving with patience, exerting power without ever hurrying. Watching Jupiter rotate is hypnotic. The planet turns once every 10 hours, incredibly fast for such a huge world. This fast rotation stretches the clouds into long bands, creating the smooth stripes we see from afar. The combination of speed and size makes it look alive, a giant breathing slowly yet with constant energy. The great red spot moves alongside these bands, keeping time with the planet's heartbeat, steady and enduring. The moons, too, provide a sense of calmness. Each one moves in its own rhythm, steady and predictable. Europa and Io are locked in an orbit that creates small, constant tugs on each other, but these forces are gentle over long periods, shaping the moons without chaos. Watching them move, you sense a quiet order, a slow dance choreographed by gravity itself. Jupiter has been visited by spacecraft that sent back amazing images. We've seen the clouds up close, the storms in motion, the surface details of moons. Each photo shows a planet alive in its calm, slow way. Colors swirl, storms spin, and moons shine like distant stars. Even from these pictures, you can feel the vastness, the gentle power, and the strange peace of a world unlike any other. The planet is both harsh and beautiful. Its storms could destroy a spaceship. Its radiation could harm life. Yet there is something about its calm presence that invites wonder. The clouds move slowly yet with purpose. The bands stretch across the planet, a soft painting of gas and energy. The great red spot continues its timeless spin. The moons circle faithfully. Jupiter is a world that humbles you, that makes you feel small, yet comforted by its steady rhythm. Imagine standing at the edge of one of its moons, looking up at Jupiter. The planet would dominate the sky, far larger than the moon looks from Earth. Its colors, storms, and bands would fill your vision. You would see the slow pulse of its atmosphere, the rotation that seems alive yet calm. You might notice the faint glow of its auroras at the poles, the gentle rings that encircle it, and the silent moons moving across the sky. It would be a sight that inspires awe, a quiet reminder of the scale and beauty of the universe. Jupiter teaches patience. It shows how size and power can coexist with calmness. Its storms rage slowly, its moons circle steadily, and its presence shapes the solar system without hurry. It is a reminder that the universe has rhythms far beyond human understanding, rhythms measured in hours, centuries, and billions of years. Even from Earth, through a telescope, Jupiter is mesmerizing. The stripes, the spots, the moons dancing nearby all speak of motion, life, and calm energy combined. It is a giant, yes, but one that feels thoughtful in its constant turning. Every time we look at it, we see something new. A storm might have shifted. A moon might shine more brightly. The planet is never exactly the same, yet always the same, steady and vast. Jupiter is the giant that breathes. Its clouds rise and fall, its storms spin endlessly, and its moons circle in gentle paths. Its size, power, and beauty are matched only by its quiet rhythm. To watch it is to feel the pulse of the solar system itself, slow, immense, and eternal. It reminds us that the universe is alive but not in a hurry, that even the largest worlds can move with patience, and that in this vast space there is a giant that watches over smaller worlds, breathing quietly in a calm and steady way. Saturn is a planet that seems to float in the sky like a gentle giant wrapped in rings of ice and dust. Even from far away, it captures attention. Its golden hue shines softly, a warm light among the darkness of space. But it is the rings that truly make Saturn unique. They stretch outward in perfect circles, wide and delicate, yet full of motion and life. Looking at them, you might think they are solid, but they are not. They are made of countless small pieces, ice, rock, dust, each one moving silently around the planet in steady, precise paths. The rings have gaps, too. Some gaps are wide, some narrow, and they are created by tiny moons or by the way gravity nudges the particles. These spaces are not empty, but quieter regions where fewer particles gather. The rings are not frozen in time. They move, colliding gently, bouncing, and spreading over long distances. It is a calm, endless ballet, a place where order and motion coexist in harmony. Watching the rings from above, it is easy to feel the slow, quiet rhythm of the universe, each particle following its own path, yet all together forming one magnificent pattern. Some of the rings shine brightly. Ice reflects the light of the sun, making the rings appear soft, silver, and sparkling. Dust adds subtle shades of gray and brown, blending with the white ice to create textures that look like waves frozen in space. If you could fly through them, you would see pieces as small as pebbles, spinning silently, moving with the quiet energy of the planet's gravity. The rings are vast, stretching hundreds of thousands of kilometers, yet thin, often just a few hundred meters deep. It is a delicate structure, seemingly fragile, yet lasting for millions of years. Beneath these rings, Saturn's surface is hidden in layers of clouds. The planet itself is made mostly of hydrogen and helium like Jupiter, yet it appears lighter, almost soft in color. The clouds form gentle bands of gold, cream, and pale brown. Storms appear from time to time, some small, others massive, but they do not disturb the calm impression that Saturn gives from afar. Its atmosphere is thick, swirling slowly in enormous circles, yet unlike Jupiter, its motion feels quieter, calmer, more peaceful. Saturn is home to dozens of moons, each with its own story. Titan is the most famous, and it is a world of gentle mystery. Its thick atmosphere is golden and hazy, a soft curtain that hides the surface below. Unlike most moons, Titan has a weather system, with clouds, wind, and even liquid on its surface. Rivers and lakes of methane and ethane shape the landscape, carving channels and filling basins. The air is heavy and calm, making Titan feel like a quiet, faraway dream. Flying above Titan, you would see soft patterns in the clouds, smooth surfaces, and vast plains, a place both alien and oddly familiar in its slow movements. Other moons are smaller, quieter, but still fascinating. Enceladus is a tiny moon with a hidden surprise. Beneath its frozen surface, water may flow in underground oceans. From time to time, cracks open and geysers shoot water into space, creating a faint mist that feeds Saturn's rings. Even such a small moon has energy, movement, and secrets hidden beneath its quiet surface. Dione, Rhea, and Mimas are scarred with craters, yet their orbits are calm and steady. They circle Saturn faithfully, like companions in a quiet dance, each moving in its own rhythm, yet all part of a larger pattern. The motion of Saturn's rings and moons is hypnotic. The planet rotates once every 10.5 hours, faster than Earth, stretching the clouds into long bands. The rings rotate as well, moving at different speeds depending on how close they are to the planet. Particles near the planet move faster, while those farther out take longer to complete one circle. It is a rhythm that feels alive but peaceful, steady and predictable, a quiet reminder of the order in the universe. Even the gaps in the rings tell a story. Some are created by tiny moons called shepherd moons. These small moons travel within the rings, pulling particles into patterns, shaping the edges, keeping the rings sharp and defined. It is a gentle influence, not violent, yet it leaves a lasting mark. The combination of rings, moons, and the planet's gravity creates a system that moves with precision, a soft music written in ice and rock, spinning endlessly around Saturn. Saturn's magnetic field is strong, yet calm compared to Jupiter. It protects the planet and its moons, creating auroras at the poles. These lights glow faintly in ultraviolet and visible colors, shimmering like soft curtains of energy. They move slowly, responding to the flow of charged particles from the sun, a quiet show of power and beauty in the cold reaches of space. From a distance, Saturn seems almost gentle. Its size is immense, second only to Jupiter, yet its presence feels less overwhelming. It is a planet that inspires wonder through its calmness. The rings stretch wide, shining softly. The moons circle faithfully, each with its quiet secrets. The storms move slowly, contained within bands of clouds. It is a world of patience, of steady motion, of quiet beauty. If you could stand above Saturn's rings looking down at the planet, you would feel small yet comforted. The rings would stretch outward in all directions, ice and dust catching sunlight, sparkling gently. Titan's golden haze would rise in the distance. Enceladus might send up a faint plume of water. The clouds of Saturn would swirl below in calm, ordered patterns, and the motion of moons and particles would feel like a slow, eternal dance. Saturn shows how quiet power can exist in beauty. It teaches patience. Even in motion, there is stillness. Even with so much energy, there is calm. The rings, the moons, the clouds, and storms all move in harmony. The planet reminds us that even in a world filled with motion, peace is possible. Its beauty is not loud or chaotic. It is subtle, soft, and lasting. Every glimpse of Saturn, whether through a telescope on Earth or from a spacecraft flying nearby, fills you with awe. The details of the rings, the soft glow of Titan, the slow spin of storms, all create a sense of quiet wonder. It is a planet that asks you to pause, to notice, to appreciate the gentle rhythms of the solar system. It shows that even giants can be graceful, even immense worlds can be calm, and even in the vastness of space, there is soft, enduring beauty. Saturn's rings will continue moving, unchanged for millions of years. Its moons will circle silently. Its storms will rotate in gentle patterns. And we, watching from afar, can feel the patience, the quiet power, and the beauty of a world that moves with grace. Saturn is not just a planet. It is a soft story told in ice, dust, and gentle motion. A reminder that the universe is full of wonders that do not shout, but instead invite us to watch quietly, to breathe, and to feel awe. Uranus is a planet that feels quiet and mysterious, a distant jewel in the solar system. It is soft blue, pale and calm, floating far from the warmth of the sun. From Earth it looks like a small dot in the sky, but it is enormous, made mostly of gases and ices, stretching nearly 4 times wider than our planet. Its color is gentle and cool, a soft, icy blue that gives the sense of calm and solitude. There is something unusual about Uranus that makes it different from all other planets. It rolls along its orbit, lying almost on its side, as if the planet itself decided to tilt and move differently from the rest. This sideways tilt is extreme, nearly 90 degrees. Imagine a spinning top that slowly tips over while turning. Uranus doesn't spin upright like Earth or Saturn. Instead, it rolls along, creating seasons unlike anything we experience. Each pole takes turns pointing almost directly at the sun, bathing the hemisphere in long, slow days and nights. Seasons on Uranus last over 20 years each. That means one long summer and one long winter stretch across decades, changing the planet in quiet, almost invisible ways. The temperature on Uranus is freezing. It is one of the coldest places in the solar system. The upper atmosphere can fall below -200 degrees Celsius, a bitter cold where gases barely move and the air feels almost still. Winds blow across the planet, sometimes faster than a jet airplane, but the pale blue color and softness of the clouds make it feel calm. You might imagine the planet as silent, distant, and empty, but within that frozen quiet, the motion of air and clouds continues steadily, like a slow, measured pulse. Uranus is surrounded by thin, faint rings, unlike the bright, sparkling rings of Saturn. These rings are dark and narrow, barely noticeable except when viewed by powerful telescopes. They are made of small rocks and dust, orbiting steadily around the planet. Some rings are older, worn by time, while others may be younger, newly formed by collisions of icy moons. The rings move silently in the distance, circling a planet that seems to float alone in space, a pale guardian of quiet secrets. The moons of Uranus are calm and distant companions. There are more than 20 known moons, each with its own story. Titania, Oberon, Umbriel, Ariel, and Miranda are the largest, some scarred by impacts, some showing signs of past activity. Miranda is small but curious, with deep cliffs and strange formations on its surface. It looks like a puzzle, shaped by ancient forces that left it cracked and divided. The other moons are calmer, quietly moving along their orbits, loyal companions in the lonely reaches of the solar system. Because Uranus rolls on its side, sunlight touches its surface in unusual ways. The poles can face the sun directly for years, while the other hemisphere rests in darkness. This slow exposure creates strange patterns of light and shadow in the clouds. You might imagine a slow dance of brightness moving across the atmosphere, a soft rhythm that changes slowly, almost imperceptibly, over decades. The motion of Uranus is quiet but deliberate, a steady path around the sun that continues year after year, century after century. Uranus has a simple composition compared to Earth. Its atmosphere is mostly hydrogen and helium, with a touch of methane which gives it that pale blue color. There are no oceans, no solid ground as we know it, just layers of gas and ice, swirling gently in cold, quiet patterns. The methane absorbs red light, reflecting blue, and this reflection creates the serene hue we see from afar. The clouds may contain small amounts of ice crystals, slowly forming shapes that fade almost as soon as they appear. The planet is calm, yet full of hidden motion, a quiet world of gas, ice, and subtle energy. Even its interior is mysterious. Beneath the clouds, pressure increases slowly. Scientists believe there is a layer of icy materials, including water, ammonia, and methane, surrounding a small rocky core. The core is dense, silent, holding the planet together, while above, layers of gas move gently in long, smooth patterns. Unlike the fiery storms of Jupiter or the strong winds of Saturn, Uranus seems to preserve its energy, keeping most activity hidden beneath its serene exterior. Exploration of Uranus has been rare. Only one spacecraft, Voyager 2, visited the planet in 1986, and it showed us glimpses of this distant world. The images revealed faint rings, moons moving quietly, and the pale, calm blue of the planet. The details were soft and distant, but enough to make scientists wonder about the hidden motion, the internal layers, and the slow, steady seasons. Even from that brief visit, Uranus seemed lonely, far away, and quietly majestic. The tilt of Uranus also creates unusual magnetic fields. Unlike Earth, which has its magnetic field aligned roughly with its spin, Uranus has a magnetic field that is tilted and offset from the center. This creates strange interactions with the solar wind. Charged particles move around the planet in unusual paths, creating auroras that glow softly near the poles. These lights are faint and subtle, not like the strong northern lights on Earth, but they add a gentle glow to the planet's quiet atmosphere, a reminder of the energy that exists even in stillness. Because of its distance from the sun, Uranus receives very little heat and light. The sun is just a bright star in the sky, barely warming the upper layers. The atmosphere remains cold and pale. Yet despite the freezing temperatures, the planet maintains its slow motion, its rings and moons circling silently, and the gentle rotation along its sideways path. There is a sense of patience, a long, slow passage of time that dominates Uranus more than any other planet. Uranus teaches us about stillness and difference. It is not a planet that shouts with storms or rings with brilliance. It is subtle, calm, and unusual, moving on its own path. Its sideways spin, its long seasons, its cold pale blue color, and faint rings all make it unique. It is a reminder that the solar system is full of surprises, and that beauty can be quiet, distant, and soft. If you could hover above Uranus, watching the clouds and the faint rings, you would feel a deep sense of solitude. The long winters and summers would unfold over decades. The moons would circle slowly, keeping their calm pace. The pale atmosphere would shimmer softly in the weak sunlight. It is a planet that asks for patience, that encourages watching and waiting, that shows quiet motion can be just as fascinating as storms and explosions elsewhere. Even in its loneliness, Uranus has charm. Its sideways spin, faint rings, and icy moons all tell a story of a world far from the sun, moving in its own rhythm. It reminds us that distance does not mean emptiness, that quiet does not mean lifelessness. Uranus is a distant guardian of the outer solar system, pale and calm, yet full of hidden motion, slowly turning, patiently keeping its secrets. The more we learn about Uranus, the more we appreciate its gentle strangeness. It is not just a pale blue dot in the sky. It is a planet with personality, moving sideways, surviving in the cold, holding moons and rings in a delicate, precise balance. It is a reminder that not all worlds follow the same rules, and that sometimes the most intriguing places are the quietest, the ones that roll slowly along their paths, waiting for us to notice and wonder. Uranus is far, cold, and unique, a pale blue wanderer on its side. Its moons, faint rings, and slow seasons create a world unlike any other. And while it may never be a place we visit easily, it will always remain a calm, quiet, and mysterious part of our solar system. A planet that rolls sideways, keeping its secrets, shining softly in the distant light of the sun, waiting for patience and curiosity to notice its beauty. Neptune is the farthest planet in our solar system, a deep, quiet blue world that spins in solitude at the edge of the sun's warmth. From Earth, it looks like a tiny dot in the sky, almost invisible without a telescope, yet it holds secrets and beauty unlike any other place nearby. Its color is rich, dark blue, like the deep ocean scene at the bottom of the world, calm but mysterious. Looking at Neptune makes you think of cold, distant places, of winds and clouds moving quietly far away from the life and warmth we know. The atmosphere of Neptune is mostly hydrogen and helium, with traces of methane. It is this methane that gives the planet its deep blue color, absorbing red light and reflecting the blues and greens. The clouds move slowly, forming patterns that are gentle and yet alive, swirling across the planet like soft, invisible currents. Despite its calm color, Neptune is a planet of winds and storms, some of the fastest in the solar system. Winds can reach more than 1,000 miles per hour, racing across the dark blue skies in ways that seem violent yet distant, almost dreamlike when described softly. The storms on Neptune are enormous, some larger than Earth itself. The most famous, the Great Dark Spot, appeared like a shadow in the swirling clouds. It is a high-pressure system, moving calmly across the skies, though its size and speed suggest power far beyond anything on our planet. Smaller storms appear and disappear over time, white clouds forming as frozen methane ice, floating gently above the deep blue layers. From far away, it looks like a moving painting, soft and mysterious, constantly changing, yet all unfolding at a pace slower than our senses can follow. Neptune takes a long time to travel around the sun. 1 year on Neptune lasts 164 Earth years. Seasons last for decades, slowly shifting the light that touches the atmosphere. The tilt of the planet is mild, so the seasons are soft, subtle, not harsh. Yet the distance from the sun means that the planet is cold, deep into the darkness of space, receiving only a faint warmth. Even in this quiet, faraway place, Neptune moves steadily, silently circling, its pale blue color glowing faintly in the sunlight that reaches it. Triton, the largest moon of Neptune, is a world of ice and mystery. It orbits Neptune in the opposite direction of the planet's spin, a strange path called retrograde. Triton is frozen, with nitrogen ice covering much of its surface. It has geysers that spout nitrogen gas, tiny bursts of motion in an otherwise still world. The surface has cliffs and valleys, smooth plains and ridges shaped by ancient activity. It is a silent companion, a frozen witness to Neptune's winds and storms, slowly moving across the sky of this deep blue world. Neptune's interior is mostly ice and rock, surrounded by a thick atmosphere of gases. Beneath the clouds, pressure grows steadily, increasing temperature despite the planet's distance from the sun. Some scientists believe that Neptune may have a small core of rock and metal, surrounded by layers of water, ammonia, and methane ices. The ice in Neptune is not solid like Earth's but thick and dense, creating a slow, heavy motion that carries energy upward, feeding the winds and storms above. Even in the frozen distance, the planet has life in its motion, though it is quiet and hidden from view. The magnetic field of Neptune is unusual, tilted, and offset from the planet's center. This creates a complex interaction with charged particles coming from the sun. The auroras on Neptune are faint, softly glowing near the poles, far from the brilliant northern lights on Earth. They remind us that even in the cold and distant reaches, energy moves, invisible currents flowing in quiet patterns across the sky. Neptune is not silent in every way. It hums with power hidden beneath the calm blue surface, waiting to be noticed by those who look carefully. Exploration of Neptune has been brief. Only Voyager 2 flew past the planet in 1989, showing us its dark blue clouds, storms, and faint rings. The images revealed shapes and patterns, small hints of the vast world beyond. They were soft, distant glimpses, yet enough to spark wonder. Even in a few hours of observation, we saw the winds, the storms, and the calm surface of Triton, understanding that Neptune is not just a dot in the sky, but a full, dynamic world moving slowly in the dark. The rings of Neptune are faint, narrow, and dark. They are made of small rocks and dust, orbiting steadily around the planet. Some parts of the rings are bright, formed by clumps of material held together by gravity. Others are almost invisible, soft shadows in the distant blue. Unlike Saturn's bright rings, Neptune's rings are subtle and calm, moving in silence, circling the giant planet in quiet harmony. They remind us that even in darkness, structure and motion exist, hidden from the naked eye. The distance of Neptune from the sun makes time feel different. Light from the sun takes over 4 hours to reach the planet. If you stood on Triton, the sun would look like a tiny, bright star in the sky, soft and pale. The days last 16 hours like Earth's, but the long year makes each season a slow, measured passage. It is a world of patience, teaching us that time stretches differently in the outer solar system, that movement can be quiet and steady, and that beauty is not always loud or close. Neptune challenges our imagination. Its deep blue color, extreme winds, and distant location create a world that is both calm and wild. The storms rage softly, the moons circle silently, and the faint rings orbit in quiet paths. It is a reminder that not all planets are easy to see or understand, but that each has a personality, a rhythm, and a presence. Neptune does not call for attention like Jupiter or Saturn. It waits, patient and distant, revealing its secrets slowly to those who seek them. Even in its remoteness, Neptune teaches us about contrast. Its calm blue appearance hides the fastest winds in the solar system. Its silent rings hide a story of formation and movement. Triton, frozen and distant, holds geysers that move in tiny bursts. The planet is full of motion, yet appears serene. It is a lesson in subtlety, in noticing patterns and energy that do not shout but exist quietly, far from human eyes, yet just as real. If you could hover above Neptune, you would see its deep blue clouds moving slowly, storms stretching across the horizon, and faint rings encircling the planet. Triton would orbit in silence, geysers spraying small plumes into the thin atmosphere. The sunlight would be pale, casting soft shadows on the clouds. The winds would roar, though you might feel only a whisper in your imagination. It is a place of quiet power, frozen beauty, and distant wonder. Neptune reminds us that the solar system is more than warmth and light. It stretches far into darkness, holding worlds that are cold, distant, and mysterious. It is a planet of contrast, of subtle power, and of quiet motion. Its deep blue color, fierce winds, and faint rings make it unforgettable. And though we may never stand there, we can imagine its storms, its moons, and the silent rhythm of its orbit around the sun, moving slowly in the far reaches of space. The more we learn, the more we see that Neptune is not just the last planet in the solar system. It is a world of hidden energy, quiet motion, and strange beauty. Its deep blue clouds, distant rings, and frozen moons tell a story of coldness, wind, and slow change. And far away from the sun, in the quietest reaches of the solar system, Neptune moves steadily, silently, patiently waiting for us to look closer, to notice its calm storms, and to imagine the winds that race across the pale blue skies. Far beyond Neptune lies a region few have seen, a quiet neighborhood at the edge of the solar system. This is the Kuiper Belt, a vast, frozen expanse filled with small worlds made of ice and rock. It is a place of calm, distant motion, where sunlight is faint and cold dominates. The objects here move slowly around the sun, circling in long paths that can take hundreds or even thousands of years to complete a single orbit. Life as we know it cannot survive here. There is no warmth, no thick atmosphere, only icy surfaces under pale light. And yet, these distant bodies hold secrets about the birth of our solar system, like small time capsules frozen in space. Pluto is perhaps the most famous of the Kuiper Belt objects. Once called the ninth planet, it is now recognized as a dwarf planet, a world small but full of character. From afar, Pluto looks pale and soft, with shades of brown, white, and gold on its surface. The sunlight that reaches it is faint, casting long, slow shadows across icy plains. The mountains rise gently, made of frozen water, and the smooth plains stretch endlessly. Its thin atmosphere, mostly nitrogen with traces of methane and carbon monoxide, expands as Pluto approaches the sun and freezes as it moves farther away. This delicate breathing of gas gives the planet a quiet rhythm, a soft motion that few can imagine from Earth. Pluto's surface is full of contrasts. There are plains that seem peaceful and still, and mountains that reach high, sharp, and frozen. There are regions that appear smooth and flat, and others that are cracked and broken, shaped by ancient movements of ice. The dwarf planet has valleys and ridges that tell stories of slow changes over billions of years. Even far from the sun, Pluto has a past, a history written in ice and rock, waiting for careful observation to uncover. Eris is another frozen world in this outer region, slightly smaller than Pluto but more massive. Its surface is coated with ice that gleams faintly in the weak sunlight. Eris is cold beyond imagination, with temperatures dropping hundreds of degrees below zero. Its orbit is unusual, stretching far away from the Sun, sometimes closer to the inner solar system, sometimes deep in darkness. Eris reminds us that the Kuiper Belt is not uniform. Each object has its own path, its own story, and its own slow, quiet motion. It is a region of solitude, where worlds move steadily in their frozen neighborhoods, untouched by the heat and chaos of the inner planets. Haumea is unique among the Kuiper Belt objects. Its shape is long and stretched, unlike the roundness of Pluto or Eris. This unusual form is the result of rapid rotation, spinning so fast that its icy surface has been flattened and elongated. Haumea also has a family of smaller moons that follow it along, circling quietly in paths determined by gravity. Its surface is covered in crystalline ice, reflecting faint light from the distant sun. The contrast between its shape, its moons, and its icy exterior makes Haumea a silent but fascinating world, moving gracefully in its faraway orbit. Makemake is a smaller, brighter object, glowing softly in the faint sunlight. Its surface is coated with methane ice, making it one of the more reflective bodies in this distant belt. Makemake has no known moons, and it moves in a slow, elliptical orbit around the Sun. Its isolation emphasizes the calm and quiet of the Kuiper Belt. Here, worlds circle patiently, far from the bustling orbits of the inner planets. The Kuiper Belt is a place where time stretches differently, where the slow paths of icy bodies remind us how vast and silent space can be. The Kuiper Belt is more than just a collection of icy worlds. It is a region that holds the leftovers of the solar system's formation. The planets closer to the Sun gathered mass and cleared their orbits, but the Kuiper Belt remained largely untouched. Here, the small objects preserve the original material from the early solar system, ancient dust and ice that never became part of a larger planet. By studying these worlds, scientists learn how planets formed, how the solar system grew, and how our own Earth came to be. Each object is like a frozen page from a history book, waiting to be read with telescopes and probes. Time moves differently in this distant region. A year on Pluto lasts 248 Earth years, while Eris takes even longer, more than 500 years. The seasons are slow, stretching across decades, caused by the tilt of their axes and the shape of their orbits. This means that sunlight touches these worlds gently, softly, barely warming them for a short time. Most of the Kuiper Belt is cold and still, yet subtle changes occur over centuries. Ice shifts, surfaces crack, and some objects even show faint signs of activity, tiny hints that motion still exists in the farthest reaches of our solar system. The Kuiper Belt also connects us to other distant regions. Beyond it lies the scattered disk, a place where objects have been nudged into elongated orbits, sometimes even escaping into interstellar space. Some of the icy worlds here may someday become comets, moving closer to the Sun, showing their bright tails as they pass Earth's neighborhood. The frozen outskirts are not completely separate from us. They influence the inner solar system in small, slow ways, sending whispers of their ancient material toward planets closer to the Sun. Exploration of the Kuiper Belt is just beginning. NASA's New Horizons mission flew past Pluto in 2015, revealing mountains, plains, and a thin atmosphere in ways that exceeded all expectations. The images showed gentle hills of ice, frozen plains with patterns shaped by time, and hints of seasonal changes. Later, New Horizons observed other objects, glimpsing Haumea and Makemake from afar, giving us the first real pictures of these distant worlds. The Kuiper Belt is slowly opening to us, revealing its secrets, one icy object at a time. Even in its extreme cold and distance, the Kuiper Belt is full of wonder. It reminds us that the solar system does not end with Neptune, that the quiet outskirts hold billions of small worlds, each unique and slow-moving. The icy surfaces, long orbits, and faint light create a place of patience, where motion is gentle and history is preserved in frozen form. The Kuiper Belt is a place of mystery, calm, and distant beauty, waiting for those who look closely, for those who imagine the frozen landscapes under faint sunlight, and for those who wonder about the slow, silent motions of the outer solar system. The more we learn about Pluto, Eris, Haumea, Makemake, and their neighbors, the more we understand that the Kuiper Belt is not empty. It is a garden of frozen worlds, each holding stories from the time when the sun and planets were young. Its quiet nature, icy surfaces, and long, slow paths teach us about patience, about the vast scale of our solar system, and about the many forms a world can take far from warmth and light. The Kuiper Belt is a place where imagination can roam freely, imagining mountains of ice, frozen valleys, and worlds circling silently in the edge of the sun's reach. Even if we may never walk there, we can see it in our minds, and we can marvel at the patience and beauty of these distant, frozen planets. The Kuiper Belt is a reminder that the solar system is more than the bright planets near the sun. It is a collection of worlds, both large and small, close and far, warm and frozen. It is a story that continues to unfold in quiet corners of space, waiting for us to notice, to imagine, and to explore. Far beyond the Kuiper Belt, far beyond even the frozen dwarf planets, lies a region few have imagined, a place at the very edge of our solar system. This is the Oort cloud, the distant boundary that separates our sun from the vast emptiness of interstellar space. Here, sunlight is a pale, faint glimmer, barely touching the icy worlds that have waited for millions of years. The Oort cloud is a silent frontier, a quiet ocean of ice, stone, and time, stretching for thousands of times the distance between Earth and the sun. It is the farthest home our sun holds, a calm, lonely place where motion is slow and the universe feels endless. Comets are the most famous residents of this distant region. These icy travelers have been sleeping for eons, frozen and quiet, waiting patiently in the cold dark. They are the leftovers from the formation of the solar system, tiny worlds that never joined the planets closer to the sun. Their surfaces are coated in dust, frozen gases, and ice, holding secrets from the very beginning of our cosmic neighborhood. Some of these comets have not moved from the Oort cloud since the sun first lit the sky, keeping their frozen stories untouched, pristine, and silent. The Oort cloud is enormous. No one can see it directly because the objects are tiny, faint, and far apart. It stretches in a spherical shell, surrounding the sun like a faint halo, stretching nearly halfway to the nearest star. The space here is not empty, but it is thin and quiet. Each icy body moves slowly in a vast, calm orbit, rarely coming close to another object. In this silence, time itself seems to stretch differently, as if the Oort cloud exists on a slower rhythm than the rest of the solar system. Some comets are tiny, just a few kilometers across, while others are larger, hundreds of kilometers in size. Yet all of them share the same cold solitude. They are fragile worlds, holding water, carbon, and other ices in frozen form. When they finally move closer to the sun, after millions of years in the darkness, they awaken with a gentle brilliance. Their ice begins to melt, creating glowing tails of dust and gas that stretch for millions of kilometers, painting the sky with beauty unseen for countless centuries. But for most of their lives, these comets remain quiet, frozen witnesses to the birth of the solar system. The sun here is tiny. Its warmth is faint, a gentle hint in the endless cold. Temperatures are unimaginably low, hundreds of degrees below zero, where gases freeze solid and rock is coated with ice. The comets and icy objects are so cold that they barely move, held in fragile orbits by the sun's faint gravity. Some are barely bound, almost free, and only the soft tug of our star keeps them in this distant embrace. The Oort cloud is not a place of chaos or heat. It is a region of patient waiting, a calm boundary where the solar system blends into the quiet of space. The objects in the Oort cloud hold clues to the early solar system. They are time capsules, containing the original dust, ice, and chemicals from the time the sun and planets were forming. Scientists study them to understand how our cosmic neighborhood began, how planets gathered mass, and how the solar system evolved over billions of years. Every comet, every icy rock, is a piece of a story that is still unfolding, waiting to be understood. Occasionally, something disturbs this quiet region. A passing star or the gentle pull of a massive object can send a comet tumbling inward toward the sun. After millions of years of sleep, it begins a journey through the inner solar system, becoming visible to telescopes and even to the naked eye. These rare journeys are moments of awakening, turning a silent, frozen world into a spectacular spectacle. When a comet approaches, its icy surface warms slightly, releasing gas and dust, forming a glowing coma and long, streaming tails. The once hidden object becomes a visitor to the inner solar system, a fleeting reminder of the quiet outer reaches where it has rested for so long. Life in the Oort cloud is not possible. There is no warmth, no light, no atmosphere. It is a place of extremes, where the very fabric of the solar system is stretched to its limits. Yet, in its quiet emptiness, it holds beauty and mystery. It reminds us that the solar system is more than the planets we see in the night sky. It is a vast structure, with layers of frozen worlds that tell stories about time, space, and the persistence of matter in the quiet. The Oort cloud is also a place of imagination. We cannot visit it easily, and even the most powerful telescopes struggle to see its objects. But we can picture them. Small icy worlds spinning in the dark, lonely yet steady, circling the sun in paths so distant that they take millions of years to complete a single orbit. We can imagine comets, silent and cold, awakening briefly to travel toward the sun, shedding their frozen shells to create tails that glow across space. It is a region of patience, a reminder that the solar system has depths we cannot fully see, and wonders waiting far beyond the planets we know. Even though the Oort cloud is distant and hidden, it connects to the rest of the solar system. Comets from this region have influenced Earth many times in the past, delivering water, dust, and chemicals that may have helped life to begin. Each icy visitor is a messenger from the farthest edge, a piece of the solar system's memory, carrying information from a place no human has ever touched. In this way, the Oort cloud is not separate from us. It is part of our story, silently shaping the environment of the planets closer to the sun. The vastness of the Oort cloud is humbling. It is difficult to imagine its size, its quiet distances, and the slow pace of its orbiting worlds. Even the closest comets from this region take thousands of years to complete a loop around the sun. Each object is a lonely traveler, existing in a cold, faint sunlight, surrounded by nearly empty space. And yet, these frozen worlds persist, holding ancient secrets and patiently following the paths dictated by the soft pull of gravity. As we look out toward the edge of our solar system, the Oort cloud reminds us of patience, of silence, and of hidden beauty. It is a place where time moves slowly, where objects sleep for millions of years, and where the faint glow of the distant sun is enough to keep them in gentle orbit. It is the farthest boundary of home, the edge of everything the sun can hold, and a quiet, frozen world waiting to be understood. One day, perhaps, we will send probes to explore the Oort cloud directly. For now, we can only study it from afar, through telescopes and careful observation. Every comet that enters the inner solar system gives us a glimpse into this distant region, a brief chance to see what has remained frozen and quiet for eons. Even in its extreme cold and darkness, the Oort cloud holds stories, waiting for those who look carefully, who imagine gently, and who wonder at the farthest reaches of our sun's family of worlds. The Oort cloud is more than just ice and rock. It is a quiet boundary, a place where the solar system ends and the galaxy begins. It is the ultimate frontier of our sun's influence, a calm, lonely place that reminds us how vast, how patient, and how mysterious our cosmic home truly is. And even as we return our attention to the brighter planets and closer worlds, the Oort cloud remains there, silently turning, holding comets asleep for millions of years, a distant edge of home. As we move past the familiar planets, past the frozen edges of the Kuiper Belt, and beyond the quiet vastness of the Oort cloud, we enter a realm few have imagined. This is the space between stars, the endless darkness where our sun is just one faint point among billions in the galaxy. Here, the warmth of the sun is gone, replaced by a quiet, cold blackness that stretches in every direction. It is a space without sound, without light strong enough to warm, a silent beyond that holds mysteries waiting to be discovered. Voyager, one of humanity's most remarkable creations, has crossed this boundary. Launched decades ago, it has sailed past the planets, past the outer limits of our solar system, and now floats in interstellar space. It carries instruments, memories of Earth, and the curiosity of all who built it. Its golden record, a message for anyone or anything that might exist far away, spins gently as it moves, a tiny human heartbeat in the vast emptiness. Watching Voyager leave, we feel a mix of pride and wonder. We feel the thrill of reaching beyond, and the quiet humility of how small we are in the grand cosmos. The solar system, which seemed infinite from Earth, now appears like a tiny bubble. The planets, the belts of ice and rock, the sun itself, all fade into distance until they are just faint points of light. Gravity here is weak and motion is slow. Objects that were held tightly by the sun's pull now float free, barely bound by any force. It is a place where the rules we know start to feel strange, where distances are so large that years can pass without passing a single object, and where time seems to stretch differently. This region is cold, colder than any place on Earth. The temperature approaches absolute zero, where atoms barely move, and even light from the nearest stars feels weak. The darkness is complete, broken only by distant pinpoints of light, the glow of faraway suns. And yet in this darkness there is beauty. Stars seem sharper, the Milky Way stretches across the sky like a ribbon of diamonds, and planets that once seemed enormous now seem like tiny jewels among the stars. It is a quiet grandeur, a calm that fills the mind with awe and wonder. Even here there are travelers. Rogue planets, worlds that do not orbit any star, move slowly through interstellar space. They are lonely, cold, and mysterious, carrying their own hidden heat and secrets. Some may have oceans under thick layers of ice, kept warm by internal energy. Others may be gas giants, enormous and silent, floating through the void without light or warmth from a nearby sun. These worlds are examples of how vast and varied the universe is, and how life, if it exists, might find a way even in the quietest, darkest places. Comets from the Oort cloud sometimes make this journey too. A passing star or the gravity of a distant object can fling them out into interstellar space, sending them on a path that leaves the sun behind. They move slowly, glowing faintly if sunlight still reaches them, and then fade into the deep black. These comets are messengers from our solar system, tiny travelers that might one day reach another star. They remind us that even in the most silent regions, motion continues, and the universe keeps evolving. Interstellar space is a place without weather, without seasons, without day or night. It is a place where light takes years to cross even a single stretch of emptiness, where the nearest star is a distant companion rather than a bright sun. It is a place of extremes, and yet it is calm. Nothing moves quickly, nothing pushes or pulls in the ways we are used to on Earth. There are no oceans, no mountains, no storms. There is only silence, a deep and endless quiet that stretches across the universe. Yet even in this quiet, there is connection. The light from distant stars carries information about their worlds, about their planets, and perhaps even about life that may exist far away. Radio waves travel slowly across these vast distances, messages that might one day reach another civilization, or perhaps return to Earth after centuries. Voyager itself is a small part of this conversation, carrying our voice and our music into the unknown, sending a greeting across the silent gulf. The scale here is hard to imagine. Stars are separated by trillions of kilometers, and planets that once seemed close now vanish into the dark. Time takes on a different meaning. A human lifetime is nothing compared to the journey of objects crossing this space. Even light, the fastest thing in the universe, takes years to travel between nearby stars. And yet, despite this vastness, there is movement, there is structure. Galaxies form, stars orbit their centers, and comets continue their long, silent paths. The universe is still active, even if the action is invisible to us. This place is also a reminder of fragility. Earth, with all its warmth and life, seems so small and vulnerable when seen from this perspective. Our solar system is a bubble of order in a vast, empty sea. Outside, there is no protection, no atmosphere, no magnetic field to shield us. Space is silent but harsh, a reminder that life as we know it is rare, and the comfort of our planet is extraordinary. And yet there is hope in this emptiness. The calm of interstellar space allows us to see clearly, to measure, to imagine, and to plan. It gives us the perspective to understand our place in the cosmos. Each distant star is a possibility, each planet a potential home, each comet a visitor from the unknown. The silent beyond teaches patience, curiosity, and wonder. It is a place where imagination meets reality, where humanity's dreams of exploration stretch farther than ever before. Even now, missions are being planned to explore interstellar space further. Probes may one day carry instruments and cameras even farther than Voyager, sending back information about the solar system's edge and the space beyond. They may encounter rogue planets, icy comets, or perhaps objects we cannot yet imagine. Each step into the unknown will be slow, careful, and deliberate, but it will continue humanity's quiet journey outward, beyond the planets, beyond the stars we see, into the eternal night of space. There is also a quiet poetry in this emptiness. The silence itself becomes part of the story. In interstellar space, every movement, every discovery feels profound. A comet passing a distant star, a probe sending back signals after decades, a planet without a sun silently orbiting the galaxy. They are reminders that even in the coldest, emptiest places, there is life in the form of motion, energy, and possibility. The universe is vast, and we are only at the beginning of understanding it. As we imagine leaving the solar system, as we watch Voyager continue its path, it is impossible not to feel both small and connected. Small because the distances are immense, the time scales incomprehensible, the emptiness overwhelming. Connected because even in the silence we are linked to the universe. The sun's gravity held us for billions of years. Comets from the Oort cloud visit us briefly, and our machines carry our curiosity into the dark. In the silent beyond, every human achievement, every question, every moment of wonder echoes in the emptiness. So as we leave the solar system, we enter a quiet world of reflection, a place of darkness, cold, and stillness. A place where time slows, where motion is soft and gentle, and where the imagination can soar. It is the ultimate frontier, a reminder that the universe is bigger than we can see, more silent than we can hear, and more beautiful than we can imagine. And yet, even in the most distant regions, there is connection, there is possibility, and there is hope. We may never reach many of these distant places in person. The distances are enormous, and the journeys take far longer than a human lifetime. But through Voyager, through observation, through imagination, we travel there in spirit. We explore, we wonder, and we understand just a little more about our place in the universe. And even as the planets fade behind us and the sun becomes a distant star, we remain part of this cosmic story. The silent beyond is vast, calm, and endless. It is a place of quiet beauty, of patient travelers, of lonely comets and hidden planets. It is a reminder that the universe is bigger than our thoughts, yet full of connections. And as we float in this emptiness, we realize that exploration is not just about reaching new places. It is about seeing, feeling, and imagining them, about understanding the quiet and vast cosmos that surrounds our tiny, bright world.